Hoennshy by Fenix. Chapter 4 Royal Archives.
I can see Carolot's main gates from out here,
Twilight called out. The city was perched on the edge of a mountain cliff, with waterfalls above, creating a natural moat that spilled down into the land below. Ivory towers rose above the main wall, with golden spires at their peaks. Lush gardens guarded near the outer walls, with evergreens scattered throughout. The massive city was awe-inspiring, but it was nothing new to Twilight. One doesn't forget their old home easily. The sun shone brightly, and a warm wind complemented the inviting yet regal structure of the capital.
I've never seen the city in daylight this close before,
Rarity said, taking one last sip of her water.
The way the sun glistens throughout is simply marvelous.
It definitely woke you up in the morning, that's for sure, Twilight choked, giving Rarity and Applejack a small chuckle as they approached the drawbridge. The bridge was as crowded as Twilight remembered. There were always ponies coming in and out of the city, merchants with the supplies to sell in stores in the streets, dignitaries with audiences with the royal sisters, and visitors staring in awe as one does in the celestial sister city. And in the drawbridge they could see almost the whole of Equestria. The entire westward expansion was drenched in golden light as the sun descended towards the horizon. "What's that, Twa?" Applejack shouted, knocking Twilight out of her thoughts as he ran into the back of a colt. He was helping her move a crop of baked goods to the carrot lot. She stepped back and shook her head, tripping over her whole toes in the process.
"Oh, I'm sorry,"
Twilight said, rubbing her forehead. The colt snored and turned away, continuing on with his haul. It had been a while since Twilight was in a crowded area, and the lack of sensation attention showed. She sighed and continued walking, trying to slink away from embarrassment. "Why, the nerve of that guy!" Applejack cuffed. "You all right, Twa?"
"Yeah, I kinda lost my focus for a sec,"
Twilight responded, seeing the interior of the city. The inside was much bigger than the outside suggested. In fact, it was much larger. White buildings scattered across the expanse of land, surrounded by the massive parks with ponds and deciduous trees that provided much needed contrast to the crowded area surrounding the castle. Shops and houses crammed along the streets or towards the Alcorn's palace. Everything in Equestria seemed to be available for purchase. Produce, magic spell books, saddlebags, the fanciest jewelry a pony could buy, dresses, and other practical clothing. Elsewhere, Twilight looked over fondly at the old bookstore in an errand section down the road, ignoring the rest of the crowded shops.
"So, where are we going first? Maybe shop for a few things on the way to the castle?"
Rarity asked.
"I want to see what the latest designers are up to, and see if we can spark a few ideas."
"Later," Twilight said, turning off right on the main road, heading away from the downtown area of the city.
"Wait, where are you going?"
Rarity wondered, trying quicker to catch up. "Aren't we supposed to see Celestia?" Applejack pondered. Twilight turned her head back and stopped, making sure this time she didn't run into another pony.
"Yeah, but I want to stop to my old place beforehand. The library back at Ponyville doesn't have quite as many books as the ones I used to use, so I want to check it before seeing the princess."
"Well, we never did get to see your old place when we went to the gala," Applejack thought aloud. "Hell with the hay. Let's go." Twilight nodded, galloped down the stone road, with Applejack and Rarity following close behind. Past parks and ponds, Twilight's old home towered off the stone road. A spiral staircase wrapped around the tower to the massive main room with its enormous glass outer wall. It was just as Twilight had remembered it. She stepped off the road and made her way to the staircase, oblivious to the old lack of hooves clopping behind her. Magically, one of her saddlebags opened, and Twilight dug around for her old key. After poking around, she found it, grabbed it, and opened the back door. The elegance of the blue interior provided a massive contrast to the down-to-earth feel of Twilight's home in Ponyville. It was a refreshing change. She looked back to see the other girls, but neither had followed her in. Twilight made her way down to find Rarity and Applejack standing at the front of the house, conversing.
"What are you girls doing? Come on in."
"Rarity and I were just talking, Ian," Applejack started.
"Is this really your old place?"
"I mean, it looks a little pricey." Twilight stood dumbfounded. She thought for a moment and realized the problem.
"Oh, well, it does look a little expensive, but that is the norm here,"
Twilight assured Applejack.
"I'm still paying on the rent during my stay in Ponyville."
Applejack blinked. "Wow, how do you get the money to pay for that?" Rarity broke off with a grip Twilight up the stairs.
"You two can argue about this all day, but I am going to go inside. If this is normal for Canterlot, the interior must be extravagant."
She turned the corner and escaped Twilight's view. Twilight turned back to Applejack. It looked like she was crunching numbers in her head.
"Well, I get some government grants for my research, which helps to pay for my old place. Twilight explained. Why did you end this so she could commence her search? Never mind that. I need to find my older copies of Griswold's books. So galloped back to the library. Are you coming? Applejack soon followed. They entered to the site of Rarity, inspecting every nook and cranny of the building. Twilight decided to ignore her musings and begin her search. The library glowed with the warm purple light of Twilight's magic, as books flew out the shelves and floated around her. One by one, she searched the spell books. It had been a while since she had been at her old home. The layout of the library back at Plainfield was conflicted with her collection's whereabouts. Applejack Rarity ducked and weaved through the volley of text, until they all suddenly dropped to the ground. Found it! Twilight exclaimed, beginning to skim through the pages. That was rather quick, Rarity said, dusting herself off. I know it's been a while since I've been here, but I don't forget things that easy, Twilight responded, digging through arcane alchemy and dubious divination. She chuckled as she browsed through, remembering how Griswold's tests had a famous humorous side to them. Before she knew it, she reached the end of the book. The carousel was nowhere to be found. How is it not in here? This is the latest copy of the book! Twilight yelled, slamming her head in the pages in frustration. I'm sure the castle has secrets in the distance. No other place would, Rarity insisted. Sighing, Twilight took her head out of the book and closed it. I know, Twilight said apprehensively. To be honest, I've never even been in the Royal Archives. Anyone who's seen it said it's absolutely massive. It could take us days just to find even one of Griswold's tests. She set all the books on the back shelf and looked through her bag, grabbing a gold card with silver text. Well, no use of staying here, then, Applejack stated, hanging out the door. Wait, Applejack! Twilight hollered, stopping Applejack in her tracks. You can't just walk in. You need an audience with the princess. She stood up and walked over to the girls. This card will let us in. They can't say no to the princess's own private student. With that, she put the card back into her bag and headed out the door, hoping that the rumors of the archive's size were exaggerated at the least. The three galloped back the way they came, trying to make up for lost ground. Their hoofs could be heard from the main street, causing onlookers to take notice. Rarity and Applejack followed suit, and merged with the massive crowd of unicorns and earth ponies. Twilight made sure to keep her eyes ahead of her. All she could think about was what would be lurking in the archives. The amount of knowledge it could contain only excited her. But what kind of secrets tomes would that be no pony would want to see? The more she thought about it, the crazier her predictions came. So, what do you workers in that archive anyway? Applejack asked, only adding to Twilight's train of thought. Well, every time I've been in the castle and asked about it, I've only been told how large and dark it is. Apparently, every book that's ever been written is in there. I don't quite believe them, but I never see it myself, so there's no way for me to really know, Twilight explained. Slowly, but surely, they made their way through the massive crowd until the castle came squarely into view. Twilight noticed Rarity eyeing the glass fountains and stores and boutiques, making mental notes of other designers' techniques and designs. She asserted that once all her friends returned to Ponyville, she wouldn't see Rarity for an entire week. She chuckled just thinking about it. The crown jewel of the city, Celestial Sisters Castle, stood near the edge of the town, just looking over the mountain. Celestia's afternoon sun made the outer walls glisten, and contrasting with the overcast that still loomed over Ponyville. Twilight and the others turned down the smooth stone path, whose sides were lined with the perfectly groomed, richly leafed trees.
Next line, please.
Guard announced, letting a group of stallions with briefcases enter the crimson gates. The two guards stood by, watching the three come closer. They wore gilded armor with gala helmets covering their manes. A gray unicorn stepped forward as Twilight approached with her identification card, hovering near her head. With a sparkle of recognition, the stoic guard broke out into a smile. Twilight!
Ahem. Miss Sparkle, you're so soon back from Ponyville?
I came with urgent business under Princess Celestia's permission. I have study I want to conduct in the Royal Archives, and my two friends are here to help me. She placed the card away in her bag, looked over at Rarity and Applejack.
Huh. The archives, huh? He must be moving up in the world.
Unicorn joked, as the white Pegasus still next to the door rolled his eyes. The princess is entertaining guests at Tringham, so she won't be able to be seen for the next few days. They're dealing with a very important matter, and asked no pony disturbed her. Sounds urgent. Another guard should be waiting for you when you get inside to escort you to the archives. Good luck, Twilight.
Thank you, sirs, Twilight said, motioning her to go through the towering wooden doors. The interior still had the glass and elegance that had held during the gala. The walls were painted a pastel purple with golden trimmings. Thick red carpet draped across the floor with a large symbol of the sun in the middle of the crossroad. The stairs in front of Twilight was graced with massive glass windows. The day and night cycles was cast their colored light on the black and white checkered floor. Elsac and Rarity were too busy during the night of the gala to truly look at the castle, but they were taking their opportunity now. Although they had also seen ponies walk into the castle, the main hall was completely empty save themselves.
A royal guard came out of the archway and called out to the girls. Are you Twilight Sparkle?
Twilight looked over, eyeing the unicorn guard. Yes, I am.
The princess told me of your arrival, sent me to escort you to the archives. The princess is busy with other matters, so a castle visit will not be possible.
He motioned them over and tried down a long hallway opposite of the throne room. The three made their way to the guard, traveling to a section of the castle none of them had ever been. It seemed to go on forever. Neither of the three ponies said a word as the guard continued on his route. Twilight bit her lower lip, anxiously waiting for them to arrive at the hall. After a few more minutes of trotting, the guard stopped in front of an archway on the side of the hallway. Twilight gained speed to see what the guard was doing. He went over to the three mares, opened the stained doors, and waited for them to arrive.
Archives are down the staircase, a long way down, so please watch your step.
Twilight caught up and stared into the doorway. Did you say it's down? The hallway sloped at what looked like an angle off the cliff face for a few hundred feet under the city. At the end of the hallway, she saw stairs curve clockwise down the mountain. She couldn't fathom how far the staircase might go down into the rock, but she would soon find out. She looked back to the guard, who simply stared at her with a continued stoic pose. After taking a deep breath, she motioned with her friends, over started her way down the hallway. They finally made their pace. She heard the door close behind them, causing her to turn her head back. She closed her eyes and took another deep breath and continued. Step by step, they descended into the mountain, traveling down countless flights of red-carpeted stairs. Each flight was separated with a small tract of flat land to make sure no one didn't fall down the thousand stairs without pause. Twilight panted. It was the most physical exercise she had in a long time. The mental stress of her three friends' situations didn't help her in the least. She opened up her water and took a large gulp. Verity was faring as well as Twilight, while Applejack kept a swift pace with no sign of exhaustion. How are you girls holding up? Twilight asked, closing her water bottle and storing it. I'm fine. Nothing lazy legs can't handle, Applejack stated. I'm a little tired and sweaty, Verity said with a disgusted tone. Do you have any idea how much further we have to go? Not only that, but I don't want to know what it's going to be like to have to go all the way back up. Twilight hadn't thought about the trip back up, but she was too eager to see what was in the archives to care. The more she thought about it, the less she noted the painted walls being replaced with stone, and the red carpet's immediate torn stop. The light still shone like the ones near the top, but it began to appear ominous. The stairwell wasn't finished, and after what felt like hours, Twilight saw two large wooden doors ahead of her. They towered over them, being at least 12 feet high. She could feel her hopes shake in anticipation. This is it! Hopefully it isn't too large, Eddie said, staring into between the doors. For all we know, we could be down here for days. Good thing I brought enough food for y'all, Applejack replied, comforting Rary just a little. Well, here we go, Twilight said, pushing one of the doors open. It was much heavier than she thought. She tensed every muscle in her body and threw all of her weight into it, opening it. It ground to a halt. It was open enough for three to fit through. Can someone find a switch or something? She asked as she entered the room. It was nearly pitch black inside a circular room with torches illuminating the perimeter near the 12-story high ceiling. Bookshelves lined the outside walls, with a maze that leading into the center of the room on the floor. Twilight couldn't make out what was on the floor made from, but it felt it was stone. Rarity was right, she thought. She could easily be lost in a massive cylindrical library. Oh look, there's even a giant owl there. Hello. What do you regularly do, Twa? Applejack asked, still trying to make out the size of the room. Well, we could split up and cover more ground, or stay together, Twilight started. I'm sure if one of us finds something, we could yell loud enough for each other to hear. Sounds fine by me, Verity said. She headed off to the left. If I find anything, I'll make sure to say something right away. It's Griswold we're looking for, correct? Yeah, Twilight confirmed, then looked over to Applejack. You take the right, and I'll head to the center. How you do? Albrecht responded, and headed off, leaving Twilight by herself. Twilight took a deep breath and tied forward towards the maze of bookshelves. There were so many books, most without labels or in languages she had never seen. She had simply browsed through the massive book spines, trying to find a book she was able to understand. At the 30 bookshelves, she stopped to think of how to tackle this predicament. She was gaining quite a bit of ground, but almost every book was incomprehensible. What did I get myself into? She thought as her enthusiasm dropped after every useless bookshelf. She closed her eyes to think, but was interrupted by a small noise. Sounded like some pony breathing. Tolly's breath became quicker as she tiptoed around the shelves to investigate. She poked her head out from the shelf and saw the silhouette of a pony, head down into an open book. There was a mountain of books on the side of the desk, obscuring her view of the culprit. Wait, who could that be? Who else could have access to the archives? The candles on the desk showed a pony to be a unicorn, with a blue coat and dark blue flowing mane. A dark blue chest piece covered his chest, so you couldn't see details of the unicorn's head. With caution, she stopped her approach, wondering what to do next. Excuse me, Twilight called out, starting the pony out of her sleep. She saw the pony switch, the silhouette of a wing covering its face for a short second, then falling back, and Twilight swore she was seeing things as the pony looked over to her, teal eyes staring back at her. Could you help me find something in here? I've never been in the archives before, she said nervously, laughing a little as she spat out. The pony sat up and trotted towards Twilight, spreading her wings. Twilight stepped back, intimidated by his sight. She hadn't seen anything unusual when she first followed the first time. The pony was an alicorn. She could still make out the pony as it approached. Right behind it, it stopped and folded its wings back, long shadow casting itself on Twilight. You are the element of magic, are you not? It asked. Twilight swore she had heard the pony's voice somewhere before, but couldn't quite place it. Maybe when you listen to Rarity. Ow! Mrs. Cake! Ow! Graysiff! Ow! Yes, I am, Twilight responded, not knowing where the pony was going for this. How do you know who I am? Twilight, it's an alicorn. You know of only 3 in existence. At this moment. Do the math. It ain't pink. She doesn't have little ice cream like Bane, so it's not Cadence. It's not white, and she doesn't speak with a regal voice, so it's not Celestia, so that leaves... I am sorry. I always seem to properly forget to introduce myself, she said, long azure horn glowing and illuminating the archive. So I blocked out the light with her hoof, slowing over to see the alicorn in her full regal majesty. I am Princess Luna, bringer of the night. I'm sorry I wasn't able to introduce myself to you in your old castle. She took a step of defense. Please forgive my accents on that night. I wish you no harm. Her voice had a sense of despair as she returned back to her formal speech. Twilight took a step back, confused. Hurt you? Why would I? She started to remember what happened the last time they met. Of course I won't hurt you. You're Princess Celestia's sister. My name is Twilight Sparkle. I'm finally glad to meet you. Twilight, Luna stated. I've heard so much about you from Celeste. She often shows me the letters you send about her studies. They're very interesting, she said, pacing. She shows you those? Twilight gasped. Her face flushed red from embarrassment. What are you doing down here? Don't you have to raise the moon soon? Luna turned and closed all the books with her magic. I always come down here. Ever since it was built, I came down when I was awake so I could study. I couldn't handle the voices I heard when sitting on the throne. She sighed, continuing to clean. Voices? Twilight interrupted, intrigued by Luna's story. Yes, when Celestia and I sit on the throne, we can hear the voices of our subjects in Equestria. The voices I heard, they were very, very unpleasant. Oh, Twilight muttered, trying not to upset the alicorn. Since you know your way around the archives, could you help me find a certain spell? It's very important I find this right away. Do you know who crafted it? Luna asked, drawing back to Twilight. It's a spell from Arcane Griswold. You have heard of him before? Luna lightly laughed. Ha ha ha! I am very aware of Professor Griswold's work. In fact, the first offering Celeste and I got as Brutus was one of these texts.
During my reign, before I was banished, I tried to use a spell that would make flowers grow in moonlight. What resulted was the destruction of the entire eastern half of the castle. Twilight couldn't help but laugh at Luna's silly tale. So, even you had deviations occur? I thought only experienced magic users have that happen to them. Oh no. Crystal spells are the most intricate spells known to ponykind. Even the most powerful unicorn would have problems with these spells. Luna explained, turning to the hallway. Come, I'll see what some of his unicorn books I can find. The two made their way down to the path Twilight took to get in. Luna was to savor all the text names for Twilight, made her feel a little bit better about browsing selection. It was ghastly quiet in the room, while only the sound of hooves hitting stone and the flicker of flames could be heard. Well, all of them to see me here, Luna said, looking over to Twilight. They're probably along the inner wall. Knowing how old they are shouldn't be up too high. As he left the maids, Twilight couldn't keep herself as her curiosity got the best of her. So, Princess, can I ask you, something personal? Yes, Twilight. I've had at least 7 husbands and 7 wives. In case you're wondering about the wives part, it was a phase. I wanted to try it. And quite frankly, I find both of them being very interesting. So if you want to be wife number 8, you're going to have to get in line. I've had at least 8 different suitors come along my way. That wasn't what I was asking. Yes, Twilight. Trixie is my descendant. What? Mm-hmm. That was from husband number 7. Oh. I just never found the proper time to tell her that. I'm going to step to look over to Twilight. Yes? What is it? Twilight noticed agreeing a proper tone of voice. Well, Twilight started. She had no idea how the princess would react to the question. She took a few deep breaths and continued. Is what history books say about your fight with Princess Celestia accurate? Luna looked down ashamed. Twilight took a step back, still worried about how the princess would try to react. Excuse me, can I read that question again? Is what the history say about your fight with Princess Celestia accurate? What?! No, Twilight! They're inaccurate! Celestia just sent Luna out to the moon because of her face! She just thought, hey, you know what would be a funny thing to do to my little sister who I love and cherish all my life? I'm just gonna send her to the moon! Nah! No, Twilight! Where did you come up with this question? Luna looked down ashamed. Luna took a step back, still worrying about what the princess was going to ask. Yes, technically, she basically said, bringing the tension between the two. I just want to say I was never jealous of my sister's abilities or work, only the constant ill-gotten praise she received. I was angry at the rest of my subjects, and I still am. Luna said, try it again. Twilight could only watch as the armor-clad alicorn began to ramble. My sister was always the one who loved to be in the spotlight. She was a pony's pony. The summer sun celebration was the sole way of going out and seeing Equestria. Every year I would make my way to the chambers to sleep through the day, and I would hear ponies celebrating that the night was over. I would hear fillies cry at night because they couldn't play outside, since the night was too scary. Twilight started to sweat, becoming very unprincipled around the princess. My curiosity was piqued. I never needed any praise for racing the moon. I never wanted that much attention. I know ponies need sleep, but it was the words that slain me. Every winter solstice, I would put my soul and everything into the light sky. A bright moon, a multitude of stars. The Milky Way was as visible as well as the Aurora Borealis. I sat at the throne and heard nothing. They only cried about the lament that winter had come, and the nights were too cold. They only wanted my sister's son. Nothing I ever did made them happy. Rosa's cells began to rumble, causing Twilight to become more nervous and jumpy. Even when I was banished, they couldn't stop. They called me a demon and mocked me from the land I called home. They then had the nerve to completely forget about me, and treat me as some monster that they could use to scare their children into going to sleep. Even so, I was supposed to assume I was really myth. Every time I would begin to forget about what they did, I could hear them again, and their hatred of me still haunted me, even on my own moon. The ground started shaking, and a repulsive whirlwind. Luna's magic began to spiral out of control. Why? I gave up everything for them. Why do they hate me so much? Now the night's the last forever! Ah, shoot, relapse. Girls, get together, elements!
5 seconds and a rainbow blast of permanent harmony later. Luna, stop! Twilight yelled. The room shaking came to a halt, and the princess lowered her head. Lots of tearing books fell to the ground, filled the room with the sound of them landing. The library was sick with the sound of silence. I'm sorry, Luna said, the archives now absolutely light. I just never talked to anybody about this before. I shouldn't have exploded like that. Twilight got closer. Do you regret what happened then? I'm so sorry for prying. Luna lifted her head and looked at Twilight, tears streaming down her cheeks. I only regret getting my sister involved. She shouldn't have had to defend those ungrateful monsters. After scanning her composure, she tried to the outer wall and looked at 20 books from the shelves to scan. It's got to be around here somewhere, she said to herself, turning off mid-sentence. The comfortable air around the princess filled the room, causing Twilight to see a good distance away. She had no idea that Equestria was like how Luna described 1,000 years ago, and she hoped that things were better now. She didn't want to fight Luna again, and Luna would be better and prepared. Twilight shook out those thoughts. All that mattered was getting Fluttershy and the rest of her friends back home. With that in mind, Twilight took a look at the books Luna had brought out. Some of these should be equestrian. The blue one is in Griswold's. Alright, I'll take a look, Twilight said, furiously taking control of the book and setting it to the ground. She scanned through the pages as Luna hunted down more copies. Every one of the spells in the text Twilight recognized. It seemed to be a smaller version of the books she held back home. She read deeper, hoping to find at least a hint of where the spell could be found. But everything was word for word like books she had read already. She closed it and looked up at Luna, who had found 3 other texts. Did you find what you needed? Luna asked. No, it's just a condensed version of the book I have at home, Twilight responded. Hopefully these other ones have something. Most of these are older, if that helps. I think there's 2 more around here somewhere, Luna explained, heading off again. Once again, Twilight delved into the text. There were a few spells near the end of the books, but most of them were repeats. Even the completely complete essential spell book by Professor Arkin S. Griswold, the compendium, held nothing. Twilight yelled out in frustration. Every other book had a counterspell. Even the ones that were complicated in animal and object chain splicing had a fix, but not the transportation spell. She opened her bag and had a drink of her water. Twilight was exhausted by the hours that seemed to slip by in the archive. Over to her right, she saw Luna becoming an old leather-bound book with frayed and loose pages. Applejack and Rarity were following behind her, talking to each other and Luna. This is it, Luna called out, setting the book in front of Twilight. This is the book that Celeste and I received as a gift when Equestria was remade. It is thousands of years old, so please take a look at it. The book was leather-bound and quite thick. There were unupholstered letters, with stitched to the cover, that spelled out the spells of Arcane Griswold. The pages inside were parchment, with both equestrian writing and language Twilight had never seen. Many of the spells were the same, but it was a years-old copy. Those spells were bound to be in it. The book started on page 7, which stood out to her, but she didn't pay too much attention to it. Each page had calculations and very specific instructions for her to pose and technique to perform each spell. The illustrations showed something standing on its hind legs to demonstrate. Twilight had never seen anything like it before, but she continued her hunt unabated. After a few hundred pages of spells, the book suddenly stopped. Nothing. Are you sure this is all you have? I can't find anything, Twilight said, exasperated. Minnie, that's this book where the spell originally came from, Luna explained. She started to pace, thinking. What? She started, still in thought. What is exactly the spell you're looking for? It was the most disgusting thing I've ever, Twilight heard Rarity say as Luna cut out of her conversation. Rarity pricked her ears up to hear what was happening between the other unicorns. It's a spell that sends one outside of the realm of space and time, Twilight explained. A deviation happened, and my friends were accidentally sent somewhere, and I can't bring them back. Twilight started to get choked up, the guilt of that night returning to her. I need a spell to reverse it. Luna began pacing. Oh, that spell. I know that one. She stopped, looked at the old book, and scanned through the pages. Brought her head back with a sneer. Huh. The preface in Bakafen Redoubt! What? The 3 exclaimed, staring at each other with disbelief. With a distraught look, Luna flipped through the book again. Twilight bit her lower lip anxiously, and turned to Rarity and Applejack. If those pages were Redoubt, what are we going to do?
Her face just became heavy. How are we supposed to bring them back now? I don't know, Applejack bluntly stated. The spell has to be somewhere. Copy had to be made at some point. Twilight perked up. That is possible. The problem is who would have had access to that first book, and why couldn't the archives be available in the first place? She started to think. Hey, Luna called out. Oh, I have an idea about what's happened. The three turned their heads to see the Alcor digging through an old shelf filled with scrolls. Some pony had to have come here at one point to steal those pages. I come down here every day, so I would have noticed something wrong right away. She opened the scroll, revealing a map, and glanced over it. Eyes wide as she scanned it. Oh, I know, Luna said with a small tinge of malice in her voice. Take a look at this. She motioned the girls closer. What is it? Rarity asked as she approached. Did you find that spell? No, but I have a very good idea where the thieves took it from. She placed her hub near the Torrent Sea. See that country? That's Venetia. It's quite a distance away from Equestria, but they have a good feeling about my arts. She moved her heart for a small little dot for a country name. This city right here is Mr. City. This is where all the Griswold spells come from. Twilight's thinking it back. Is that why those spells are so hard to do? Because they're not equestrian? If there's any other reason for them being a fonts, then yes, Luna responded. Now, Mr. City has a slight strange properties to it. It's where space and time converge in this world. It creates a city filled with different time periods and cultures. Unfortunately, it's filled with not too friendly creatures. She looked up at the three with a stern look in her eyes. Wait. It's a city where space-time converge and creates a city filled with different periods and cultures, and nobody does research on this! Unfortunately, it's filled with not too friendly characters. She looked at the three with a stern look in her eyes. It's known as the City of the Damned. Luna took the scroll and rolled it up, placing it in front of Twilight. It dispels all anywhere. They are not city. I have a feeling why they either stole or destroyed ours, but that doesn't matter. A full copy should be there. With a quick snatch, Twilight took the map and examined it. So you think we should leave Equestria? She asked with a nervous tick. She looked at her girls and stared at her with worry in her eyes. Is it safe? What's out there? What happens if they don't have a copy? She asked, placing the scroll in her bag. You should be fine. You have the physical representation of the elements of harmony. Those will help you out quite a bit. Actually, we don't have them, Verity interrupted. As much as I thought, and I haven't touched it in months. Same. Applejack joined in. I reckon I didn't need any fancy nickels on this trip. Sorry, just thinking of how they're all right now in the tower. I do love reading a season 1 fic. I guess you didn't either. Luna volleyed over to Twilight, simply shook her head. But I can retrieve them for you. I did help create them after all. No, you didn't! In a sense. I don't know why you wouldn't carry them around more often. They enhance your special talents in the need of higher general situations. So, what are you going to do? The three looked up at each other again, trying to read their facial expressions. Twilight noticed her friend's nervous looks when they just added to her anxiety. After a long pause, Luna finally spoke up. Here, let me make this easier on you. A horn started to glow, filling the three in bright white light. I'll send you to the guest room so you can sleep on it. If you want to go, I will summon your element Toms and give you a note where to go. If you don't want to go, the Pegasus will bring you back to Ponyville. The night got brighter as Twilight felt her hose leave the ground. She scrambled to get them back on the floor. If you do decide to go, the guards will bring you to the northern equestrian border. You'll have to make the rest of the trip on hoof. Wait a sec! The northern freaking equestrian border! Right there in front of the cat! From the Crystal Empire! Kids, hello! Wait, what happens if... Twilight called out. But seeing her vision started to blur, startling her. The light became brighter, causing her body to tingle. She looked over to Luna, who was simply staring back at her, with a thoughtful look on her face. Good luck, the Alcorn said, as the light fully enveloped Twilight. She could feel her consciousness slipping as she felt her whole body was compressed. A mere moment later, the white light disappeared, revealing a red painted room with 3 beds and large windows that showed the sun still setting over Equestria. They lighted the guest room. The three stood in silence, trying to let everything that Luna had described sink in. So, what do you girls think? Should we go? The spell not even be there, Twilight asked. Do we really have a choice? Verity asked, inspecting her new living quarters. Nobody I know of has ever been outside of Equestria, so I don't really know what to expect. But we have to go regardless.
Can't be too different from Equestria, Applejack said reassuringly. If they do, I just need to make sure Big Mac knows I'll be away for a little while longer. Applebug sees it's coming. After a long pause, Twilight spoke up. Well, if that city is truly where space-time can converge, Luna may be right. There may be no other place where the spell could be, she thought aloud. Who knows what that city would be like? We could walk into a door and find Fluttershy for all we know. On the side, she stopped to turn to Applejack. All right, I still need to write that letter to Spike, so I'll mention something in there about the Amble family. Twilight said, taking a quill and ink from her patterned bag, and set up on the nearest flat surface. She began to write. Dear Spike, tomorrow the girls and I are heading out of the country of Hoennshy. In search of the spell we need to bring Fluttershy back. I don't know when I'll be back, so please continue watching over Fluttershy's cottage in the library. If you can, feed Gummy and tell Mr. and Mrs. Cake that Pinky is gone. It would really help. Applejack needs you to tell her family that she's gone. Apparently it's close to Applebug season again, so they need that information right away. Thank you for helping out on such short notice. I promise I'll be back as soon as I can. Twilight. With her writing supplies nearly put away, she slid the letter under the door for the mail pony and climbed to the center of bed. She was still anxious about coming travels, but she agreed with her friends that she had no choice but to leave. Twilight looked over the other girls who were sound asleep. It would become dark as the sun finally set, letting the moon rise over the horizon. She slipped into the thick covers and closed her eyes, drifting off to sleep. Twilight rose with the sun's rays hitting her square in the face. She rubbed her eyes and looked over to the nightstand. Crowned with her 6-star purple kitty mark was there with a note. She grabbed the note and read it, noticing instructions on where the chariots would be and when they would depart. Twilight looked over, noticing that Rarity and Applejack were still asleep. Girls, wake up! Twilight hollered, causing the two to shuffle under the covers. She grabbed the crown and nightstand, set it in her bag, and opened a set of doors. They were situated at the end of a long hallway that made its way into the main hall, so it wouldn't take too long to leave. She heard small mutters of the other girls waking up as he went into the bag and grabbed an apple to eat. Ugh. Is it ready? Applejack asked, groggy from her sleep. Yes, it is. I'll go get supplies for our trip. Girls, meet me where that map says we need to be. Twilight stated, heading out the door. All right, Applejack yawned, grabbing her element necklace. Twilight made her way down to the hall and out the castle. The sun had just rose, making the whole town glow in a pale yellow light. In the courtyard, she could see a chariot being set up with several Pegasus guards getting strapped in for the flight. She made a mental note of the location, trotted along the main street that was near the void of ponies. Shops were setting up for the day, as Twilight noticed a small shop set up on the street corner. It was a market store with fresh fruits, vegetables, and grains. Twilight looked over the immense amount of produce, making sure it was cost-effective for their trip. She had no idea what kind of food would be on the outside, so she didn't take any chances. After picking up more food than they probably needed, Twilight made their way back to the castle. She saw several dignitaries had already started to bother the guards to enter the castle, and she noticed Applejack and Rarity were standing near the chariot, all ready to go. Rarity was already wearing her element proudly. The Pegasi were almost finished preparing for the trip as Twilight arrived, setting down the bag of groceries. This should be enough for a while at least. I'm sure if we run out, there'll be some more towns to go on the road. Thought the city picked business currency, Rarity interrupted. Personally, I wouldn't want to eat in a potentially disgusting road town, but if we must, I'm willing to make an exception.
We're ready to depart, Miss Sparkle,
one of the guards said, preparing to head to the skies. After wrestling the food between themselves, they headed on the chariot. They made sure all were securely in and took off at astounding speed. Applejack go down and go,
I've never been in a flat chariot before,
Applejack stated nursing. He'll be fine, Twilight assured her. She knew Applejack wasn't afraid of heights. She walked on clouds before. The prospect of leaving Equestria must have been getting her. I've been on these many times. It'll be over before you know it. As they looked over Carolot, the three could see a large expanse of forest on the earth, covering most of what they could see. Small specks of pony towns dotted the landscape as mountains threatening into carefully placed clouds. On the horizon they could see large expanses of plains and rivers as narrow roads snaked their way across the ground. Twilight's breathing became heavy as the altitude's lower density of oxygen started to get to her. As she looked down over the edge of the chariot, saw how fast they were going. Anything she saw just flashed by her and traveled off to the distance. Before they knew it, the chariot began to slow down. So, what's that silly call that Luna told us about? She said slowly to her. I think it was Minstrel City, Twilight responded. What confused me is what she called it. The City of the Damned. Wonder what that's about. Rarity winced as the chariot started to descend. Whatever the reason, I would rather not find out why. The chariot made its way to the canopy and landed on the earthly forest trail.
We've been instructed to drop you three off here at the northern border. If you would exit out the back, we can make our way back to the castle, one of the guards explained.
The three hopped off, Rarity trying to shake a loose clod of dirt off her hoof. The pigsty flew back down south, leaving the three on their own. The forest was dense, with little amount of light able to penetrate the canopy. It felt just like the evergreen forest. Twilight noticed they were close to the exit, and tried down the path to see where it took them. So, this is it, huh? Twilight stated as she stared out at the open grasslands and blue sky ahead of her. Apprehensively, the three tried down the path to the wide expanse, leaving the safety of their home of Equestria, and began their hike to Fenix on hoof. You know, girls, kind of wish I had wings. Would have made this trip so much easier.